Hey everyone, it's the Kung Fu Genius, aka Alex Richter, and we have a new deal for Kung Fu Genius fans. If you go to citywt.com, you can buy any 2 of our apparel and get 1 free, and that includes the new City Wing Chun gym shirt like the one I'm wearing in the new color. Any apparel, you buy 2, you get 1 free. Just go to citywt.com and use the code KFGB2G1. That's KFGB2G1. Use that code at CDWT to get 1 free apparel with your purchase of 2 of anything, t-shirts, all that good stuff. And before we get started, if you could do me a favor and don't forget to like this video, comment on it, share it on social media, help us get the word out there. That's a tremendous help. And if you listen to us on audio, don't forget to review the podcast wherever you listen to it. And with that, let's get started.
All right, peeps, on today's episode of the Kung Fu Genius, the genius will be discussing all things ninja. Lots of gems, lots of stealth, lots of don't do roundhouse kicks with shurikens in your Tabi boots, my guy. Let's get to it.
He is unstoppable, unbeatable, unbelievable. He's Alex Richter, the Kung Fu Genius.
And every day, I practice martial arts. Watch out! Word is, I'm a Kung Fu genius. Practice all day like a genius.
All right, Dre, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Sifu. What the is up with your arm right here?
So I just had shoulder surgery, rotator cuff repair on my right shoulder. So I'm heavily medicated right now. So I don't know if this was the best idea to record an episode today. Right now, I'm not even 100% sure where I am right now.
Okay.
But
Well,
I do
you're
know.
here.
But I do know that I don't feel anything.
Oh, I
That
wish
is-
I had some of that stuff right now.
If there's one thing that I know for sure, it's that I don't feel anything right now. So what
And
better?
I'm feeling all the pain right now.
That's
Yes.
right. You have a little bit of that
I tried to
age-related
lift
decline.
all the weights.
All of them.
Saturday.
That's
all the
a problem.
weights in the
That's
gym.
a problem. Yeah. You need to do something about that. You're not getting younger.
I'm not that big of a guy, you know?
Yeah, but you're old. That's what you forget.
Was it ARD?
ARD, what's
ARD,
that?
age-related decline.
Age-related decline. You're certainly exhibiting signs of that.
I got him.
Yeah.
got
So
him.
I
Got
figured,
the
well,
symptoms.
since I'm totally loopy, since I'm not in the
Loopy-daisy.
right mind to really discuss anything of depth,
Okay.
Then-
You're like on a cloud of...
yes, exactly. I'm on a cloud of something.
Something.
All right? Something we talked about before the episode, which we won't mention now.
We can't say that on the air.
Why don't we talk
up in
about
the
something perhaps slightly less serious than the kind of earth-shattering topics that we normally discuss
Okay.
on the Kung Fu Genius
This
podcast?
is interesting.
We can talk about perhaps the style of martial arts to which Wing Chun people have, or Kung Fu people in general, have the biggest rivalry, and that is ninjas. right?
The biggest rivalry.
The biggest rivalry, man. I mean, ninjas used to be a big deal back in the 80s. You couldn't go anywhere without bumping into a ninja by accident.
Yeah. On
And you had to
6th
watch
Avenue.
out on 6th Avenue,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Nowadays, not so much. But, ninjas were a thing. Now, I can
I miss
imagine
ninjas. I
for
do.
the younger generation, it's probably like, you see ninjas as like villains, or you see them as kind of henchmen
I
in
don't think
movies.
they even
but
know what ninjas are.
yeah, but in like if you grew up
This
in
new
the
generation.
80s, ninjas back in the 80s were there was a huge ninja boom in terms of movies and stuff, but ninjas were also really big within the martial arts industry. In the 70s,
Yeah.
you had the big kung fu boom after Bruce Lee, and then in the 80s, like in the early to mid 80s, like ninjas became the real thing, but not just ninjas in movies, but like practicing ninjutsu and stuff like that became a big thing. And that was around the time when I started to get into martial arts, first
Yeah.
through, watching Bruce Lee's films and getting into kung fu and stuff like that. But as a young martial arts practitioner, I think the first time I saw some ninja stuff, I was like, wow. Because as a kid, it ticks off all the boxes. It's like you get to dress kind of
Yes.
superhero-ish. You get to use
disguise,
weapons,
yeah.
martial arts. You're all stealth and stuff. And,
I love the stealth part of it.
I get why kids would be super into ninjutsu. But the funny thing was, like, growing up in the 80s, you'd look at the martial art magazines and then you would see all these adult practitioners of ninjutsu. And then now, once you become an
You
adult
think it's real
yourself, you look back and you look at those people and you go like, Really?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you were an adult. I was a kid. It's understandable why I thought ninjas were the shit then. But were an adult.
The thing I could never find was the smoke bombs because I always wanted to poof
And then
just
disappear.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. So
To this day, I still want to.
I would love for you to do that. That'd be amazing. You say some whack stuff on the podcast, I'll throw a smoke bomb, we disappear, and then we get the other Dre.
Yeah. He just reappears.
And then he'll
right
reappear,
there.
right? Yeah, no, that was cool. Like, ninjas had the smoke bombs, and they had all that stuff. There was so I grew up in a small town in Jersey, and next to, like, the next big town was called Red Bank, New Jersey. And in Red Bank, there was an Army-Navy surplus store. Now, back in the 80s, Army-Navy surplus stores basically just sold camo and ninja weapons and stuff like that.
Right.
And I would go in there, like, because we'd go to Red Bank, like, once a week, and I'd go into the Army-Navy surplus place. It was a salty old dude who worked there. He was cranky as shit. And he would just sit back there reading a magazine. And I would go, like, can I look at these ninja stars? Of course, we called them ninja stars,
Yes.
right? Back we called them Chinese stars back in the day.
I only knew him as ninja stars.
Yeah. But it was so funny. Like, I remember one of them had Bruce Lee on it, which is like, yo, he's supposed to be Japanese. Why is it a Chinese guy? And when you're a kid, you don't know. You're like, oh, I got a ninja star with Bruce Lee on it. Like, that makes sense, right? So I used to buy, like, I'd get like a little allowance. I don't know, maybe they call it like a few bucks to get a ninja star.
Yeah.
And I would go and I'd buy one. And eventually I had like maybe about 8 or 9 ninja stars, different sizes. And I would throw them like on trees in my parents' backyard. And that was the coolest thing for me, right?
The best.
Yeah, and just like, I got the ninja uniform and everything. And like,
I remember I hit someone's car with a ninja star. Yeah.
Really?
It was crazy. Like, I was throwing it at the tree, and it went further out and hit a car that was zooming by. It didn't stop, but I was like petrified. Like,
damn. I got a ninja star story. But I'm going to leave that for the end of the podcast. I got a very special story.
You know what
for
comes
that.
to my brain real quick? I'm going to get your sucker. Where they bust into some spot and they're all shooting guns, bah, 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 and Kung Fu Joe with the shurikens. It's the best scene.
Kung Fu Joe was great, man. Played by the late Steve James.
Yes.
Who was also in the American Ninja series, man. Yeah, it's so unfortunate,
right.
man. He passed away like in 93, 90. He was 41 years old, man. And there are a couple people here in New York who knew him, who had met him. And so I know a couple people, and they say, like, Steve James was, like, the sweetest, coolest dude ever. And, like,
so funny in that
he was
movie,
so
man.
funny, and I'm going to get you, sucker, man. That was
So
great.
good.
So, like, what I
Such a
wanted
good
to do is
character.
talk a little bit about the ninja movies, like the ninja craze in the 80s.
Are we going to go into the...
We're going to go into all of them.
How this whole craze started?
Well, I don't know exactly how it started. Like, I don't know who got, like, the weird bug to start doing it. Ninjas would pop up occasionally, obviously in some Japanese films.
Oh, right.
And some Chinese movies, you would have some ninja villains, like, would pop in. But it wasn't, like, this huge culty phenomenon. In 1981, Canon Films, which was run by Yoram Globus and Menahem Golan.
Okay.
And Golan Globus, right?
It's a mouthful.
And they were like this low budget movie studio.
Where were they from?
Oh, they're from Israel, right?
Oh,
yeah,
I love them.
And they had this idea to start making these action movies, and they made the first one, which was Enter the Ninja in 1981. Super, it's super creative title there. All right. Well, how did the Bruce Lee thing get launched? Enter the Dragon. Oh, we'll make Enter the Ninja, right?
Yes.
And it had Sho Kasugi, who essentially became like the ninja, but he was a villain in the first one. Now, originally, that was supposed to star the karate champ Mike Stone. Mike Stone was one of those guys who even trained with Bruce Lee. He was one of the guys that Bruce Lee actually had a lot of respect for.
Okay.
And Mike Stone was famous for a totally different reason. You remember why Mike Stone was famous?
No, I do not.
Because Priscilla Presley left Elvis to be with Mike Stone.
Mike Stone.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioned.
Yeah, Mike Stone was a Hawaiian martial artist, really good looking. And of course, Priscilla, she leaves Elvis, like, the number one dude in the world, to be with this broke ass karate instructor, right? And
This is my dream.
And yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. Mike Stone can do it, except I think Mike Stone was a bit prettier than you were back then.
Right,
But, he ends up, like being with Priscilla Presley, right? Elvis, according, like I read a book that was written by those who were like in Elvis's inner circle you know, his little Memphis mafia there, like his security, his entourage, stuff like that.
Memphis
and they
Mafia.
talked about how when that happened, Elvis like lost his shit. He wanted to put a hit out on Mike Stone. He wanted Mike Stone dead because for him, he couldn't understand why Priscilla would leave
bounce on him like
Elvis
that. Yeah.
Presley to be with some broke ass karate instructor, right? So yeah, that thing is very. Also, my
Broke
friend
his brain.
Dwight Woods from the Jeet Kune Do dialogues. I did a interview with him a few months ago. I saw him down in Miami a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
He just interviewed Mike Stone last week on his podcast. So those who want to see the
gotta see
update on Mike
this.
Stone, yeah, and kind of the addendum to that because it's always these like 6 degrees of separation from Elvis. You know, I also have my own weird Elvis connection. So, and I might have talked about this on the Dudes. I know I might have told you before, but I don't think I told it on this podcast yet. So, my late godmother, right? Yeah.
It's coming to me.
Yeah. So my godmother, she was from South Africa and she looked like Brigitte Nielsen. She was this stunningly gorgeous, tall, blonde woman with this like South African
You made a
accent.
dedication to the book, in the book to her.
Yeah, to my Chum Q book I dedicated to her, right? And she was amazing. She lived in Beverly Hills. She had like all these, connections to Hollywood people and stuff. And every time she would come and visit us, it was like this movie star was visiting us because she would come and she would tell me stories about, she was at a party and Michael Jackson was there. And then she would talk about like hobnobbing with all these celebrities.
Yeah.
And she was an amazing woman. And I'll always remember, she'd been sick for many years. She had some type of cancer, I believe, but she battled it out for years and years and years before she passed. And I'll never forget one time she came to visit us it was when we were living near Seattle. And I was going to my Wing Chun class, and she was going to drive me. It was before I got my license, right?
Okay.
And she was driving my mom's car, like taking me to my Wing Chun class, right? And she was, she wasn't like in great shape because she had been sick, right? But she's driving the station wagon, and I'm in the passenger seat. She's driving me to my Wing Chun class, and suddenly out of nowhere, somebody, and we're going downhill because it's like those streets are a lot like San Francisco,
Okay.
right? Someone pulls out in front of us while she's going like 60 miles an hour, right? And she swerves out of the way and swerves back in, and like the car like goes, kind of catches and drives.
Handled it.
And she handled it like a pro, and then she just kept driving. She kept talking to me, and I was like, Joanne, that
you
was
just
crazy.
notice?
And she was like, oh, back in the 70s, me and my boyfriend used to run the Paris to Dakar rallies. We used to do this kind of stuff all the time. So every time she would come, she would like reveal something about herself, and like she's like the most interesting man in the world. Like she's the most interesting woman in the world. She had these driving skills, all sorts of crazy stuff, right? But anyway, in the 80s, my godmother, she had been married a few times, and she married this Brazilian huckster.
Huckster?
He was a con man. He was a con man.
Oh, okay.
His name was Marco Garibaldi, and he. In fact, I'm not even 100% sure.
Garibaldi,
Yeah,
like-
he's supposed to be Brazilian, but I don't know. He might even be lying about that. I don't know. But he wanted to be like a movie producer, and my godmother had all these connections in Hollywood. Like she knew legit people there.
Right.
So she was a little bit older, and he clearly married her probably because he wanted to get a green
Clout,
card,
yeah.
and he also wanted to get some of her connections, right?
Right.
So he marries my godmother. I remember meeting him a few times when I was younger, and my mom always hated him. And like, every time like we would see him, she's like, oh, you get
that slimy vibe
Could
from
tell
him.
she didn't like him, right?
Yeah.
And my godmother introduces her husband, Marco, to Priscilla Presley because Priscilla Presley was one of my godmother's friends. Mm-hmm. Marco leaves my godmother to be with Priscilla Presley. Wow. And yeah, basically divorces my godmother, runs off with Priscilla Presley. And I think they ended up having like 1 or 2 kids with each other. But they were together for a really long time, and they never married. She never married Marco, right? And the crazy thing is, as I was a kid, after all this happened, because I was very young, I didn't really understand. I knew that my godmother was going through some kind of divorce.
Okay.
We were at the supermarket. This is in the 80s, must be, or in the early 90s, something like that. And we're at the checkout.
Oh, of course.
And there's the National Enquirer, this
Yes.
gossip magazine there.
Right there.
And my godmother is on the front page.
No.
She's taken out the trash from in her house in Beverly Hills, and the paparazzi, they were like hiding behind a bush, and they snapped this photo of her when she was taking out the trash, and they were like, this is the woman that was dumped for Priscilla Presley. And I remember my mom saw that, and she was like, And then she, we
Blood
checked out there,
boiling.
got out there really quick, right? And then so the crazy story, right? So that's my odd, this has nothing to do with ninjas, but
some connection
like I
to
did mention at the
Elvis.
beginning of this podcast, I am on a lot of pain meds right now after this surgery. So I apologize if the ninja episode meanders a bit. So anyway, back to 1981, the first ninja movie from Canon Films, right?
Yes.
Which was Enter the Ninja. It was supposed to have Mike Stone as the main guy, but apparently he had never acted before, and he was so god awful. They were like, "No, we can't actually have this guy."
Even
Dude,
in
he's
the
got
ninja mask.
He's got the
and-
martial arts, but he doesn't have the acting chops. So they got an Italian actor named Franco Nero, who doesn't know any martial arts, but he's an actual actor. They ended up having to dub his voice into English, even though he spoke English, because he had an Italian accent. So he's
was
dubbed. So it's one of those
off
like
the rails with
yeah,
it, right?
one of those. They shot it in the Philippines, super low budget. Shokisugi's he's the villain, and there are a couple scenes like when he's got the mask on. They actually had Mike Stone do the stunt doubling for Franco Nero as the
I
ninja.
was wondering, they should have just did that.
Right, but there are a lot of fight scenes where Franco is not in the ninja outfit, and he's got to do it themselves. And you just see like, homeboy can't kick. There's one scene where he's like practicing with the nunchucks. He's got this crazy like porn stash on.
Oh, yes.
And he's got to do some of the nunchuck stuff. And it's not his stunt double because it's him, and his
Knocking
nunchuck
himself
skills are
out.
just
Boom.
his nunchuck skills are ass. He's just pulling these moves that are like, oh come on, man, terrible, right? And then you see he like can't kick, he can't punch, but the moment he's got the mask on, suddenly he's like really good because he's actually Mike Stone when he has the mask on, right? He was terrible, and the movie's very low production quality, but a couple
see it.
scenes with Shokisugi for me, he's the quintessential ninja, and he's
Yeah.
at the beginning and he plays the bad ninja, and then he's at the end. The story's kind of ridiculous. It's like he's staying with his buddy who's in the Philippines, and then some local gangsters are trying to shake that guy down and make him sell his property because there's oil under it, and they're trying to get rid of him. And then so little do they know that their buddy's a ninja, so Franco Nero's like saving them, so they got to hire their own ninja. But then like his buddy, and it's like super bizarre. He reveals to him like he's impotent and he can't like please his wife. And then what does Franco Nero's character do? He ends up that guy's wife. It's like, as a kid, I just remember like going like, well, I just remember being getting confused. I'm like, is that what happens if you cannot? You have to imagine. I watched this as a child. I'm like,
Yeah.
so if you cannot sexually please your wife, it's okay if your friend does.
Yeah, right. This is
So anyway, these are the kind of values you
options.
learn when you grow up with Canon Films as your primary educator, right? In adult relationships, right? So, but anyway, Enter the Ninja essentially becomes the first in what's known as a ninja anthology, right? There are 3 ninja movies,
Right.
but it's an anthology. They're not sequels to each other. They're just like 3 movies, but they're not. The story's not related to each other, right? But so Enter the Ninja is generally kind of like Ninja 1, which that confused me as a kid because Ninja 3,
Of
the
course it's
Domination.
confusing,
I
yeah.
remember when Ninja 3 came out, I always went to the video store going like, "Where's Ninja 2 and Ninja 1?"
Right.
Not realizing that it's Enter the Ninja is Ninja 1 and Revenge of the Ninja, which is the second one, is
I
part 2.
remember seeing Revenge of the Ninja, but never Enter the Ninja because that just floated
Right.
under the radar.
Enter the
It's like-
Ninja, it's like it's not as great. It's kind of their first offering into the whole ninja world. But for me, the gold standard of ninja movies is Revenge of the Ninja.
Yes.
It has everything. First of all, no one looks better in the ninja costume than Shokisugi. I remember when he had the mask on, just how badass he looked. Of course, much later when I became an adult and watched it, it's like, oh, they put extra eyeliner on him to make him look super ninja-y, right? And he's the best ninja for me. Like skill-wise, he's actually Japanese,
He's
right?
a superhero. Ninja.
Yeah, and the opening of Revenge of the Ninja, I mean, it's just a ninja porn. All right? I mean, the story is just very loosely connected word salad to set up the next reason for ninjas to slaughter each other, right? And the opening scene is just blood, like it's supposed to be in the modern era. And like his whole family gets slaughtered by ninjas. It's like, yeah, this is not
happens.
happening in Japan right now. Sorry, but in my mind, I thought like, oh man, I don't know if I ever want to move to Japan because there's like a bunch of ninjas out there want to kill you, right? And this was also, I think, Sam Furstenberg's first. Well, certainly he didn't direct Enter the Ninja, but he directed Revenge of the Ninja. And then he later went on to do like Ninja 3: The Domination and American Ninja, and also he did the Break-In movies as well. Sam Furstenberg, right? So for me, Revenge of the Ninja is. It had both of the sons in there, like Kane and Shane. Shane Kasugi's only in the beginning.
Shane Kasugi.
Yeah, but Kane Kasugi's the older one. When I was a kid, I wanted to be Kane Kasugi because it's like his dad is a ninja and he had these cool fight scenes and he was like this little badass, right? I kind of always thought Kane Kasugi was a little better than Ernie Reyes Jr. Ernie Reyes was like the other like kid ass kicker from the 80s. He was in The Last Dragon. Remember him?
Yes.
He's the little kid, right? He also later was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2. He was the pizza boy. But I always thought like the 1980s kid ass kickers, I always thought Ken Kasugi was the best. He just, he only worked in the movies with his dad, right?
Yeah.
He should have done a lot more, but he was pretty damn awesome.
Out, but
yeah, he was pretty damn awesome. But Revenge of the Ninja had like Keith Vitale. He was in like Wheels on Meals. He's a karate expert.
Wow.
And then, of course, it turns out that, the story is ridiculous. His family's slaughtered. Cho Osaka's family slaughtered in Japan. Yeah. So he's got like some white guy friend there who inexplicably has a gun in Japan and shoots one or two of the ninjas. And he's like, you gotta move to Los Angeles. And I'm thinking Los Angeles, he's like, you got to get out of Japan. It's so violent here. So let's move to Los Angeles in the 1980s.
Where it's safe.
Yeah, where it's safe. Forget Japan, man. It's crazy here, man. You look back at it and you go like, what? That's crazy. That makes no sense.
L.A.
Yeah, you moved to L.A. like
Compton.
Next scene, yeah, it's like a Boys in the Hood, right? This is way safer than Japan, right?
Wait.
And of course, it turns out his white boy buddy is a ninja who's actually a bad guy who's secretly smuggling heroin through the Japanese dolls that Cho is importing from Japan, right? Wow. And I
went intricate with this one.
Revenge of the Ninja probably has one of my favorite lines in any ninja movie, or perhaps any movie ever.
Nothing can kill a ninja but a ninja.
Yeah, only a ninja can kill a ninja. But that's Ninja 3: The Domination, I think, where they say that, right?
Yeah.
In Revenge of the Ninja, there's this female lead, let's call her. I've totally forgot her name. I haven't watched the movie in a bit. I watched the movie many times as a kid, which is why I didn't feel like I needed to watch it again for this episode. It's pretty much seared in here, but some of the names of some of the characters. So there's this like tall, leggy blonde who is in love with Sho Kasugi's character, right?
Yeah.
And she also kind of works for Braden, the bad guy, right? But she's so in love with Sho Kasugi's character.
And this is Revenge.
In Revenge of the Ninja. She shows up to the dojo to train with Sho, who's wearing like the white top and the hakama pants, like very traditional. And she comes in wearing like a red like kimono top and no pants. All right? Because she's obviously trying to seduce Cho Osaka, played by Sho Kasugi. She walks in and here comes one of the best lines in American cinema ever.
Yeah.
Sho Kasugi, perhaps the best two lines ever. Why it didn't get nominated for an Academy Award is beyond me. Sho Kasugi looks at this tall, leggy blonde, not wearing any pants, and he goes, "If you want to work out, you forgot your pants." Which is both so obvious and also so great. So sagely. Yeah. It's such like a straight Japanese, like by the book kind of thing to say, you have forgotten your pants. And then she looks at him, she goes, "Do you really think I forgot?" Now, mind you, I grew up on movies like this thinking like, is this really how adults talk to each other? And then they have this like fight scene where she like starts trying to chop him and it gets kind of awkward, right? So, these are the elements where as a kid, I'm like, I don't know why she's in this movie, but I'm not hating it. As a kid, you're like, I don't know what's going on here, but it's okay. I think there's something okay with it, right?
I think we should address this in some commentary eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. So but the centerpiece for me of Revenge of the Ninja is the final fight scene, which took 2 weeks to film, by the way, because of all the pyrotechnics, where they literally use every single ninja weapon in the book, every single ninja trick.
They pulled them all from Japan.
The final fight scene is amazing. Of course, you watch it as an adult and I go, how ridiculous is it? Cho Osaka, he's going to go to the building to fight, to finally get Carfano's guys or whatever. And he goes, how am I going to get in the building? Well, you could disguise yourself as a normal person with your ninja gear, go in the building, put your ninja shit on, and then have the fight. Or you can wear all your ninja shit and climb up the side of the building with ninja claws in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
which is
that
crazy.
always works anyway.
But doesn't the costume like make you invisible? Isn't that the whole
It
point
must
of
be.
it?
It
It's
must
stealth.
be, right?
Stealthy, right?
It's very stealthy. I remember I got a set of those ninja claws, and I tried to climb a tree.
You tried to
Didn't
climb
work.
a tree.
I remember because you see him climbing up there, and you're like, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I got the ninja claws and the ones on the
God.
feet. I was trying to
Oh,
climb
God.
one of the trees in the back. It's digging into my hands. Because like the metal is digging into your hands, and you're like, this doesn't work as advertised. This hurts. I mean, it makes sense. Like you use
Painful.
the claw like to block stuff or to scratch a guy, right?
Okay.
But as a climbing tool,
I think they misused it in the movie.
painful, man. Because
Yeah.
then you got this like pulling on your wrist. Because if you climb like just by
Your
using
body
your
weight
hands,
is not
you're
sup-
using your
yeah.
grip.
Right.
But when you have it on a claw, it's like all pulling on your wrist. It's terrible. All right. So for those of you out there, don't try to climb shit with those ninja claws. You're gonna be
Sure
be
you got the right
disappointed.
ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Revenge of the Ninja for me, that is like the quintessential ninja movie. I think if you want to see, if you only see one ninja movie, it should be Revenge of the Ninja. That's got everything in it.
But is it as good as 9.5 Ninjas?
9.5 ninjas.
Yeah, 9.5 Ninjas, the first erotic ninja movie.
I have not seen 9.5 Ninjas. I feel now underqualified to be carrying this episode here. There is, however, 9 Deaths of the Ninja, which is a Shokisugi movie he made after, I think, Ninja 3, The Domination. And that's where it started to get kind of off the rails. The first 3, Enter the Ninja, Revenge of the Ninja, Ninja 3, The Domination, that's your jam right there. That's your blood sport kickboxer cyborg for Van Damme. That's what it is for ninja movies, right? After that, Shokisugi did like 9 Deaths of the Ninja, where it got had some comedic
cat?
elements in there, and then there was like
9
Pray
Lives.
for Death, and then he had like the metal ninja mask, and then it got kind of gimmicky and kind of hokey, and then he tried to like change with the times, do stuff like Black Eagle with Van Damme. We started to do like kind of modern action movies and stuff, but yeah, I mean, I always felt Shokisugi best. He was best as a ninja, and he even had a TV show called The Master, with not Ron Van Cleef but Lee Van Cleef.
Van Cleef
and
is
yeah,
who?
from he's from the old westerns and stuff, and that was a total kung fu ripoff, like with the old wise master and stuff. Except it was ninjutsu, and I think it only lasted maybe 1 season. But Shokisugi was the villain in it, and he basically came in every episode.
villain.
Yeah. As a ninja, and then he would get beat up but not killed, so that he could show up again.
Every episode.
Yeah. And in the 80s, they released them on VHS.
Yeah.
The episodes of The Master, and I think they had maybe 2 or 3 episodes per cassette. But at the beginning of every cassette, Shokisugi would demonstrate a different weapon. And so I used to get that because he'd do like a demo with tonfas, and then they would show 1 or 2 episodes of The Master, and then you get the next one, and he would show size. Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, the 80s was pretty dope if you were into that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of crap I grew up on, right? So, I mean, Shokisugi, man, he's my man. I follow him on Instagram.
Okay.
It's kind of weird to see him now because, like, sometimes when martial arts celebrities were really big and now they're not big anymore, it's not always pretty. And Shokisugi kind of takes himself a little too seriously. I wish he would kind of recognize the camp and go for it, but he still kind of takes himself a little. So I follow him on Instagram, but it's a little cringe. It's a little cringe, right? But for Shokisugi fans out there, you know, whatever, that's your thing.
All
So
good.
So then after that we have Ninja 3: The Domination.
Yes.
And Ninja 3: The Domination is a pretty awesome. I mean, it's no Revenge of the Ninja, but it's kind of like Ninja meets Exorcism, you know, because like she gets possessed. You know, and the beginning, it's just as crazy as Revenge of the Ninja. The whole opening is just a ninja porn. It's just a ninja just wrecking all sorts of havoc on a golf course. Killing cops, you know, going on the helicopters, killing people.
15 minutes, too.
Yeah,
Just
nonstop.
going
It's
off.
insane. It's insane. Right? And then he basically gets shot up. He's about to die.
Yeah.
And then he sees Lucinda Dickey, who works for the phone company. And right,
Right.
before he dies, he Vulcan mind melds his ninja spirit into her. You know what bugs me a little bit about that movie? It's not believable. No, just kidding. The bad ninja, right? The one who, like, you know, puts his spirit into Lucinda Dickey, right?
Yeah.
He's credited in the end as the black ninja, right? Because he's the evil ninja. But he has a green ninja uniform.
What's up with that?
But they call him the Black Ninja. Meanwhile,
with that?
Shokisugi's character, he actually wears a black,
He's the Black Ninja.
outfit. He goes by his name there. But the
Right.
Black Ninja had a green ninja outfit. Can someone explain that to me? As a kid, that broke my mind. I was like, but he's not wearing black.
That's like Santa Claus.
It
level.
makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes no sense. So anyway, he Vulcan mind melds his ninja spirit into her, right? And then she starts getting revenge on all the cops who killed the first black ninja, right? It's crazy. The fight scenes are absolutely insane. That's really good stunts. You know, for like, because most American martial art movies in the 80s, the fighting wasn't great. You know, like if you look at some of the Chuck Norris movies, it's very slow. It's just, you can't, like if you look at the stuff they were doing in Hong Kong in the 80s, and then you look at the
Yeah.
American martial art movies in the 80s, you're like, this is shit. But the ninja movies were an exception.
Yeah, that was
'Cause
the first ninja movie
They
I've
just
seen
went
too.
Ninja 3: The Domination. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
So the bar's
Do you
pretty
remember?
high.
Remember when they arrested Shokisugi? Remember he's got the eye patch.
Yeah.
And remember, like under there, he's got like the
Yeah,
lock
he
pit
got
thing or
out.
whatever, right?
He
Who
got out.
spits that
Yeah.
out, right?
Oh, I
There's some
love it.
great fight scenes in there, man. Like, and we also have a cameo from James Hong. You know, Lo Pan
Yeah.
from Big Trouble in Little China, right?
Right.
He's in that too. It's amazing, right? So.
Man, oh man.
Ninja 3 Domination, and of course stars Lucinda Dickey, who later went on to do the Breakin' movies, which were also for Canon, right? It was the same movie company and stuff,
movies, I think Jean-Claude.
yeah. Jean-Claude
his
is in
first
he's
movie.
either the first one or the second one. That was his
One of-
very first movie,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But think about it, Canon, it's all the same stuff, right? Yeah, he's in the background with his boy, I forget his name, but you know when Van Damme came to the States from Belgium, he came with one of his boys, all right? His I forget his name. He's of Middle Eastern descent, but they both came to be movie stars, right? But Van Damme is the one that made it. But Van Damme
no.
would always bring his boy on, and his boy is in Bloodsport. He plays the fighter Paradise. He's the guy who
okay.
gets the Chong Li kicks the bone out of his thigh. Remember that? That's Van Damme's boy, right? But then in the next movie, Van Damme's boy plays Tong Po, the villain in Kickboxer.
Yeah.
Which is crazy, which would never happen nowadays because of things like cultural appropriation. Here you have a Middle Eastern character playing a Thai guy in yellowface, right? With all like the putty on his face and stuff like that. It's like, oh man, this is super inappropriate. But that was Van Damme's boy. That's why he was able to get in there. But his
So
boy,
they-
and I totally apologize for
both
not
in this movie, Breaking
Michael
2 or
Michel.
Breaking
I think
1?
it's Michel Chissy is his name. And
Okay.
both Jean-Claude and Michelle are in that scene
that
in
scene.
Breakin'. And while the dad's in the back, and Van Damme's already warming up his kickboxer dance moves there, right?
The man.
Yeah,
Trademark.
That was awesome. And then, so then the ninja thing was like after those movies was a bona fide hit. So Canon kept pumping a bunch of those out. And I think the next one after Ninja 3,
American
The
Ninja?
Domination was American Ninja with Michael Dudikoff, right? That was
They
amazing.
had to go there.
Yeah, they had to, of course.
Yeah.
Like, all right, enough with these Japanese ninjas. Where can we go here, right? Another
We got to
movie-
stay in L.A.
Yeah, another. You know that one
We're
they shot.
safe.
That one they shot in the Philippines because that was like their go-to. Like if they wanted to shoot in
Right.
Asia, it was too expensive to shoot in Japan.
Yes.
So they shot all that stuff in the Philippines, right?
Good move.
And the villain, the Black Star Ninja in American Ninja, was played by Tadashi Yamashita. And you know what bugged me about you know, 'cause
Tadashi
you know
Yamashita.
when you're a kid, consistency is such a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, like when something's off, you're like, you don't understand. You don't understand. Life is all about gray. When you're a kid, it's always black and white, right? You know what bugged me about Tadashi Yamashita in American Ninja?
Uh-oh.
He wore his ninja mask up to his nose.
No.
Which is kind of like nowadays,
Like
you know, when
nowadays
people
you
don't
get
wear the
annoyed.
mask, right? You're like, hey,
Hey.
who do you think you are, the Black Star Ninja? You should
Who do
say
you
that.
think you are,
If-
Tadashi
if
Yamashita?
people don't wear their medical mask correctly, they wear it. You just go up to them, who do you think you are, the Black Star Ninja? Only Tadashi Yamashita can wear his mask like that. All right.
My line
It always
of work, I can do it all the time.
it always
too.
bothered me, you know,
Yeah.
because I'm like, you're supposed to be in disguise as a ninja.
Oh man.
You already show your eyes, which shows quite a bit. Might as well just go that extra inch, right? When you're showing this.
It's probably too tight.
Yeah, I don't know.
Reach.
But again, they probably just wanted him to have a slightly different look. But Tadashi Yamashita was a legit martial artist. And he had written a number of books for Ohara Publications, which was run by Black Belt Magazine. In fact, as a kid, I had Tadashi Yamashita's nunchuck book. That's actually how I learned how to use nunchuck. I had his nunchuck book. What? And you know, Tadashi Yamashita is in Enter the Dragon. The guy who plays the Black Star Ninja. So do you remember at the very beginning when Bruce Lee is getting briefed by Mr. Braithwaite?
Yeah.
And Mr. Braithwaite is telling him all about what's on Hans Island, and he's showing him those black and white films.
Okay.
And then they show Bob Wall, you know, who plays O'Hara.
Right.
And he's like, oh, this is Han's bodyguard, right? You know?
The film
and,
footage.
yeah, and then they show him like breaking, smashing stuff or whatever.
Right.
And then there's a dude who like smashes a 2x4 over Bob Wall's body. That was Tadashi Yamashita.
Wow.
So he was already in there, right? Which reminds me, you ever see a Kentucky Fried Movie?
Yeah, but I haven't seen it in so long.
In the middle of Kentucky Fried Movie, they have an Enter the Dragon parody called A Fistful of Yen.
I remember you talking about this.
And
right.
it always reminds me, every time I see that scene in Enter the Dragon, you know, because I forget the name that they used, but they were like, you know, this is Han's bodyguard. He's tough and ruthless. And this is Han's chauffeur. He's tough. He's rough and toothless. I always think of that when I see that, right? Are you rough and toothless? Or tough and ruthless, right? So that so American Ninja 1 was pretty good. They had good fight scenes. Obviously, we had Steve James in there, who was great. And American Ninja 2, The Confrontation. And I think the villain was also Mike Stone in that one. That one was also pretty good. In fact, that one has some really good Hong Kong style stunts. There's like a scene where I think he's being dragged in a pickup truck or something like that. Those stunts were crazy. I mean, Cannon had low budget, but they kind of went for it.
They knew how to stretch that budget.
They knew how to stretch it. And they knew how to like, you know, get like a cheap location and just kind of like hire some local talent and, you know, put them in the back of a car and hurt them and give them a little bit of money and call it a day, right?
Right. Give them all the painkillers right after. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so like those were great. Now, obviously, like Tsugi had a couple of those other ninja movies. I didn't think they were so great. Hong Kong also jumped onto the ninja bandwagon, which obviously ninjutsu being Japanese is not really a Chinese thing, but they did make a couple ninja-themed movies in Hong Kong,
Elemental
namely
Ninjas.
5 Elemental Ninja, which came out around that time.
My boy.
Yeah, with Lo Mang in there, right?
And Chan Wai Man.
Oh, Chan Wai Man. Yeah, he was the head guy, right? And that is a great ninja movie, although the ninjas are the villains in that film. So it's kind of weird, like what qualifies a ninja movie as a ninja movie? Like, does the main character have to be a ninja? Or, because if the villains are ninjas, but the main character is not, then it's still kind of a kung fu movie where they fight. So is it actually a ninja movie? So I'd be very curious. Maybe you guys can comment below. What qualifies a movie as a ninja movie? Do the main characters have to all be ninjas? Does the good guy have to be a ninja? Is it enough if the bad guy's a ninja?
Just has to have
Inquiring
some ninja
minds
element.
want to know.
Yeah.
All right, I want to know what actually qualifies a film as a ninja movie, because the ninja craze was so big back then. Even The Last Dragon with our boy Taimak. Remember when he came to rescue Vanity's character?
Yo,
all right, he showed up in a ninja outfit, right?
Yeah,
that was
ninja
1985 or whatever, right?
Yes.
I mean, that was the shit back then, right? Because this was so in the zeitgeist at that time, right? That even would get into those films, man. Ninjas were the shit.
Good old Vanity.
Yeah, you know, it was like at that time. Obviously, I was big into martial arts. I was doing karate. I was doing taekwondo. Huge Bruce Lee fan, but I also obviously got into ninjutsu because of all the ninja stuff. And back then in the martial art magazines, you had Stephen K. Hayes, who was like the first American ninja. He was a student of Masaaki Hatsumi, who was like the main guy teaching ninjutsu at that time. And so I got a couple of his books.
Yeah.
And I managed to get a real ninja suit from that Army Navy surplus place with the gauntlets and the boots and everything, right? Wow. And I went to the mall, and the mall had a bookstore, and they had the thing about how big ninjutsu was. There was a bookstore at the mall, like a B. Dalton Books or whatever.
Ninja section.
No, it had a martial arts section. There was a book on ninjutsu there. They had Stephen K. Hayes' book and a book by Ashita Kim, who's the biggest fake ninja, whatever. And I remember as a kid, like I saw Stephen K. Hayes' book, right? And I'm like, okay, Stephen K. Hayes, I remember reading about him in the martial art magazines, right? And then there was another book by this guy called Ashita Kim. And I'm thinking like, I remember as a kid going like, isn't Kim a Korean name?
Right.
And then I go, and then I'm like, his first name is Japanese, his last name, his given name is Korean, and I open up and go, this guy's white. And I remember being so disappointed because even though Stephen K. Hayes, the other ninja guy, was white, but he had a Japanese instructor. And then I see this guy with some phony ass, egg foo young name. And he's white. And you know what else bugged me? Not only that I knew as a kid that his name was wrong. Because I was doing Taekwondo. I knew Korean names. Mm-hmm. I'm like, he's got a half Japanese, half Korean name, and he's white. Mm-hmm. But you know what bugged me about him? Because I was, again, it's all about consistency.
Yeah.
Ashita Kim didn't even have the ninja mask like Tadashi Yamashita.
No.
He was wearing the ski mask. You know, the ski mask, like you go in to rob a grocery store.
Dude.
And I'm like, that's not a ninja mask. So I wouldn't buy his book.
With the one hole or the two holes?
The two holes.
Ah.
Yeah. I'm like, that's rank, man. So I didn't buy his book. So I bought Stephen K. Hayes' book. And it had a section on invisibility, like how you could be stealth. It showed you how to like walk on different types of surfaces, how to hide and stuff like that, right? So I was like, all right, I'm going to learn all this ninja stuff. Because in my mind, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to fight like Bruce Lee because I had Bruce Lee's fighting method books. Mm-hmm. So I was going to do all like the Jeet Kune Do stuff out of the books. Obviously also do my Taekwondo that I was learning. But then I was also going to have ninja skills. So in my mind, I was creating this superior system where I had like the kicks of Taekwondo, the moves of Bruce Lee, and the skills of a ninja. And I'm like, no one would ever be able to beat me, right?
No way.
And I'll never forget, man, this shit broke my heart. I put my ninja outfit on, right? Full ninja gear, right? It's probably summertime, sweaty as hell.
Okay.
I got my ninja, I got the mask on, the 2-part mask. I got my sword, I got my chucks, I got all the stuff in the pockets, the shurikens, I got everything. I got my bokens, everything.
Oh, yes.
I climb up in a tree. I'm hiding up there. I could climb up a tree pretty high.
Okay.
I'm like on a super, super high branch. Chilling out, hiding.
What?
My neighbors, they're like, I lived in a neighborhood, lots of kids. They're riding around on bikes. And I'm up there. The tree's got a lot of leaves, right? No one can see me, right? I'm up there. I'm like, yo, I am a ninja. They're going by on their bike. No one can see me, right? I'm like, yo, if I had like a blowgun or ninja, I could take all these people out. That's how good I am, right?
What?
And then there was this girl. She lived up the street. She was a couple years older.
Yes.
I forget her name. Let's call her Donna.
Donna.
She's riding the bike. She rides underneath, and she looks up. She goes, oh, hey, Alex, and then keeps going. And I was so angry. I was like, you can't, how could she see me? I'm a ninja.
Straight out of a sitcom with that one.
Because everyone else who went by, the cars didn't see, no one saw me. I'm like, yo, I know how to hide in trees wearing ninja shit. And this girl, she rides a bike, just looks up, hey, Alex, and just keeps going like it was nothing.
Love it.
And I was like,
oh, man.
this is whack Arnold's, man. This is nonsense. So then I started to feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm not cut out to be a ninja, you know what I mean?
Wow.
But you know what else is technically a ninja movie, but people don't realize it? Bloodsport. Because Bloodsport, Frank Dukes, because supposedly it's based on a true story. Frank Dukes, the style that he learns from his Senzo Tanaka, his sensei, was ninjutsu. Because then later, it even says at the end of Bloodsport that, Frank Dukes goes on to found the first American-based ninjutsu system called Dukes Ryu. So people don't realize it because you think of Bloodsport as like a normal, like fist fighting kind of martial arts movie,
Street
right?
Fighting,
but he's supposed to have learned ninjutsu from his sensei, right?
Well, he's never wearing a mask or anything.
No, because he just did the fighting stuff, right? Or whatever, which is also ridiculous because the guy who plays his sensei is Roy Chiu, who's a Chinese actor.
Yeah.
Do you know that actor who plays his sensei in Bloodsport, right? Roy Chiu, you remember him, that actor?
Vaguely.
That is the same actor who plays the abbot in Enter the Dragon. That's the same guy who plays Van Damme's sensei. Yeah, at the beginning, the abbot, because in Enter the Dragon, Roy Chiu, he's in old face to look like an older abbot, right? But that's actually him in Bloodsport.
Dope.
And he spoke English. That's why they gave him that role. And little known fact, the temple that they shot, the finger pointing away to the moon scene, right? Tingsan Monastery, which I usually take my students here every time we go to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Roy Chiu was actually the one who found that place because that was in Turnbull. It is in Turnbull. And Turnbull at that time was like the sticks, like no one lived there, right? And he was a pilot, and he used to fly around Hong Kong, and he saw it from the skies. And he recommended that they shoot that there. And it's actually, I think, the oldest Buddhist temple in Hong Kong. It's really nice. It's a great little walk to go up there. Yeah, lots of fun. Lots of great place. So next time we go to Hong Kong, because I don't think I took you there last time. We didn't have time. Yeah, I'll take you there next time. It's
we went to one temple, I remember.
Yeah, went to a few, but we didn't have time to go to that one.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so technically Bloodsport is also a ninja movie, although he doesn't wear the ninja garb in there, but he does ninjutsu. You know what's crazy? Like, again, when I was a kid, martial arts was my thing. That's why, like, if someone wore the ninja mask wrong or there was something inconsistent, like, it would bug me, right? Because I read about these things in the martial art magazines, right? I remember, like, at the end of Bloodsport, and this is the big controversy because Frank Dukes is basically someone who just, like that whole story is all bullshit, right? And it was exposed, I mean, already in the 80s, the LA Times did this expose on him talking about how the whole thing was fake. Yeah, I mean, the whole story was fake, right? And also, like, this tournament called the Kumite that only elite fighters go to, yet none of the elite fighters, whether it's Don the Dragon Wilson or Benny Urquidez, like the people who are actually top flight fighters, I never heard about it, right? But if you think about Bloodsport's a great story. Like it's a really good story. Like,
Definitely,
he has a reason to go to the tournaments and underground tournaments, got all these great elements. The only thing where it messes up is at the very end where he's like bowing and then it says like, this is based on a true story. And that's when, for me, the whole record skips. Because you're like, you had me for the whole movie. And then that bit happened, right?
No.
Because at the end, he's got like, it says like, Frank Dukes holds the record for, like, he's got all these various records, like fastest knockout and fastest kick, which is like, how are they measuring this?
Only in the Kumite, though.
Fastest kick with a knockout. And I remember like thinking like, wait a minute, this is an underground tournament. How do they measure the speed of a kick knowing that kick was going to knock the guy out? How do they have this equipment in an underground tournament?
What's happening here? Yeah.
But you know what I did? Because I was such a nerd as a kid. I saw Bloodsport and I was like, fastest knockout, most amount of knockouts. Like, it had all these ridiculous stats on there, right? I had the Guinness Book of World Records. And I go, let me look this up. I look up Guinness Book of World Records.
Was in there.
Well, I mean, I had it for that same year, for 88, 89, whatever, right? The only records in that version of Guinness Book, like, there were some records for boxing.
Okay.
But there were no records for martial arts. Like I maybe there was a record for the most number of blocks of ice shattered or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But there was none of that was in there. I'm going like, where's Frank Dukes' record?
What's up with that?
Right? It's not in the Guinness Book of World
Doesn't add
Records.
up.
Yeah. It totally drove me crazy. But
Yeah.
so technically, Bloodsport can be considered a ninja movie. A ninja movie, yeah. Wow. And Frank Dukes is, later went on to claim that, he had like learned the secret style of ninjutsu and all that stuff. I think we should do a Frank Dukes episode because he fascinates the living piss out of me. Like, ninja frauds for me are absolutely fascinating. Frank Dukes, if you just watch him, like, the dude is so full of ish, man.
What about Ishida Kim?
Ishida Kim is also interesting, right?
We can touch
They're
on him
crazy videos about Ishida Kim,
Yeah,
right?
I've seen one of them.
And the craziest videos about Ishida Kim are the ones that ninja puts out himself. All right?
Right.
So it's so bad, right? Of
Ninja,
course,
please.
of course he lives in Florida, right? It's like all the worst stuff in Florida, right? So there's a video where, and you know what's weird? I'm such a geek, all right? I know where Ishida Kim gets a lot of his stuff from. He got some of his stuff from one of Sifu Leungting's books. Sifu Leungting in the 80s and 90s, he published two books. One book was called Skills of the Vagabonds, and the other one was called Skills of the Vagabonds Part 2. And those books are absolutely fascinating because before Sifu Leungting really got into Wing Chun at around age 13, he was really into magic. And he said that when he was young, he had basically like a Sifu in magic. Wow. And this guy taught him how to do magic tricks, and he taught him how to do demonstrations. And he also revealed to a young Sifu Leungting how a lot of these Maimo guys, these guys who do the martial arts street performances, like
Okay.
bending the spears on their throat and breaking the bricks over their head. He actually taught a young Leung Ting how all these things worked, and he basically showed him that these are all bullshit tricks. These are all bullshit tricks. So what Siva Leung Ting did I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s, is he published a book where he basically revealed all these tricks. And he kind of shows you how to do it. Some of them are like just magic tricks, like deception, like straight up like, telepathy kind of stuff, but it's just tricks. And the martial arts stuff, which is like how these guys they lay on a bed of nails and they have like some bricks on them and the guy smashes that. Well,
bed of nails.
What you have to realize with a lot of those tricks is, and then here's the thing: when I say that those tricks are fake, I'm not saying that they're not. I'm not saying that they're safe, okay? Because all that kind of stuff is dangerous. You have to practice it. So don't get me wrong; that stuff requires a level of skill to be able to do it. But what you're actually seeing is not the skill that's being sold. Okay. So, for example, the most common one that you see a lot of these kung fu guys do is breaking the spear on the throat.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that can also be done in a easier version with the chopsticks. You know, the brittle chopsticks that you break apart.
Okay.
Like the ones you get like for Chinese takeout or something like that, right? Those are the ones that break easily, right? So when you put it on your throat, now, by the way, full disclosure,
right?
All right. Do not try this at home, okay? I'm only explaining how this works. This is not a tutorial. Do not do this at home, okay?
Some dude in the comments.
All right?
Some dude in the comments before he says this.
Yeah. Yo, man, I'm going to sue the Kung Fu Genius. Do not do this. Don't do this. Pretty please. Don't do it.
No.
Don't do it, okay? So, when they put the spear in the throat, all right, and they have, the spear bends this way here. You'll notice it's usually two people involved in that demonstration, right? Sometimes they press the spear against some like inanimate object. Usually there's someone else, okay? One thing you're always going to notice with that demonstration, the spear always bends downwards.
Ooh.
Okay?
Never upwards.
You will never see that spear bend upwards. Right. All right. Otherwise, we're going to the emergency room. Okay? So first of all, the wood of the spear has to be flexible enough to bend. And eventually it breaks, okay?
Got it.
And the idea is that, the skill that's being sold is I'm breathing, I'm moving my chi into my throat, okay?
Yeah.
All right? And now my throat
impenetrable.
Impervious to strikes, impervious to blades. You put that spear tip on my throat, and you cannot puncture because all the chi is right here. All right, whatever you do, don't punch me in the back of the head right now because I'll die because all my chi is right here.
Don't touch my arm.
Yeah. I'll get into Don't hit me in the arm because I'll die right now because all the chi is in here. Yeah. Don't flick my shoulder because I'll die of cerebral edema right now. But no one can penetrate my throat, right?
All right.
First of all, that's the problem with these demonstrations. All right, pretend the demonstration is real, and you can move your chi to a certain part of your body. And it cannot even be penetrated by a blade. All right? Well, how useless would that be if I know that all your chi's in your throat, I'll just stab you right in your ass. All right? I'll just slash you. Yeah, I'll just slash you right across your eyes. All right? If you can put all your chi in one spot, all right? Yeah. I guarantee you that's not the spot I'm going to attack. Man. And also the other problem with that is pretend it's true. You see what all these guys have to do. They have to stop, they have to breathe, they have to move it.
It takes about an hour to move it.
Yeah, it takes about an hour to get it set up, right? And it's like, well, first of all, if it takes you so long to breathe and set up and move the chi to that one place, how is that useful in fighting? Where one, you don't know where you're going to get hit, and two, you don't have time for that anyway. I know he's about to hit me in the face. All right, got my chi right in my head. Okay, no, but now he punched me in the stomach. I didn't have time to move my chi down there, right? It makes even if it were true, it would actually be a pretty useless skill to have.
Okay.
Because you could only localize your chi in one area, to the detriment of every other area, right? That's the problem. And when it takes too long. On Instagram the other day, some Wing Chun guy posted some inch punch demonstration on some blocks or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, you hold the block here. Okay, no, move it over. Okay. No. I need you to hold it a little straighter. Okay. All right. Now, straighten your back leg a little bit. Hold it there. Okay. Okay, no, brace yourself a little bit. And it was like, that's the problem. All right. You need to be able to roll out of bed and just go and use your inch power and smash something into dust.
Yeah.
And then you impress me. When you've taken 5 minutes to set up the target, all right, a luxury you don't have in street fighting, just like you've taken 5 minutes to move all your chi to your throat. All right. But here's the weird thing about that chi stuff. All right. They can only move chi to areas that are either sturdy, like your back or your chest, or areas where you can play a trick, which I'll explain in a moment, like the throat.
Fist.
No, like no one ever moves chi to their eye. All right? Have you noticed that? Like no one ever said, I'm going to move all my chi to my left eye. You
Stab me in the eye.
You could stick me with the spear or your finger in there.
Wow.
But they can do it to other areas, right? And so I'm always like, what's going on there? Like something's a little weird, right? Also, like, no one ever says, I'm going to move all the chi to my nose and I'm going to let Francis Ngannou punch me in the face.
No, yeah. We need someone to go.
No,
that
it's always
route.
like I can move my chi to my stomach and now you can kick me, or to my groin and I'm impervious there, or to my neck or other sturdy areas. But it's never like to my nose and I'm going to let Tyson punch me in the face. Right? So until I start to see stuff like that. And also that they can just turn it on and move it without needing 5 minutes of breathing and prepping.
It's instantaneous
It's
movement.
a useless skill, even if it were true. But here's the thing with the spear on the throat, which you can also do with those brittle chopsticks.
Yeah.
On the top right here, all right, you have right where your collarbone meets right here, right at the top. There's like a little ridge, all right? Now, if you put your finger, you can press your finger on that ridge. And you'll actually feel it's almost like a little dip.
Yeah.
All right, like this. Put your finger there, fingertip, and now you can press down full power. It's strong. It's not going into your throat. It's pressing down against the bone. All right? So when they do the spear demonstration, they put the spear tip right on that bone. Okay, right here. And the guy holding the spear on the other end starts pushing straight down. So the spear is not going into your neck, it's going straight down. That's why the thing always bends this way. And so you can do the same thing with the chopsticks. You take the brittle, don't try this at home. With the brittle chopsticks, you put it on there, you hold it here in your hand, and then I can't do it, my arm is busted.
Yeah.
You smack the back of your hand, but when you smack, that's just for the visual effect. You actually do this, and you break it off here. And this has nothing to do with anything, right?
Showed you that?
He shows it in the book.
Yeah.
But even like when people lay on a bed of nails, laying on a bed of nails isn't that difficult because it's spread out. And then so you have like, let's say the slab of concrete, and then the guy breaks the slab of concrete with a sledgehammer. It's really up to the guy breaking the concrete to make sure that he or she uses enough power to break the slab, but not so much power to go in. So it's just like the spear. The trick is actually being done by the other person. They're the one regulating it. Right. And also, like I said, you can lay on a bed of nails. All right. You remember that Shania Twain song, "That Don't Impress Me Much"? you want to impress me? All right. Lay on one nail and do the same thing.
Ooh.
Right?
Ouch.
Ow.
Yeah. So anyway, back to ninjas, right? So Hong Kong did have a couple good ninja movies, right? So you had Five Elemental Ninja. Did you ever see Duel to the Death?
No.
That's like a Chinese versus Japanese sword fighting film. They make very good. I feel that the Hong Kong film industry, especially in the 80s, they did ninjas really well. You got to look at Duel to the Death. The ninjas in Duel to the Death are amazing. And the movie Prodigal Son.
Maybe I did see it. It was a bunch of Chinese weapons against a bunch of Japanese weapons. Is that?
Sword. It's sword. It's mostly sword, yeah. It's really good. And they fight at the end on the mountaintop. It's like Japanese versus Chinese swordsmanship.
I did see that.
The ninjas in there are really good. Like the Chinese know how to make the ninjas really deceptive, and they did a really good job. And the other one, it's not a ninja movie, but Prodigal Son, our favorite Wing Chun movie.
Right.
The guys who come to murder the opera troupe, they wear ninja. Now they're not actually ninjas, but they're wearing the ninja outfits. They do a really good job. For me, that's a more accurate depiction of ninjas. Like
it's nighttime.
Ninjas for me, it's like, okay, it's a mercenary. You hire this person to do a job. If the person needs to do the job during the day, they're going to dress like a normal person. If they need to do something at night, they're going to wear the black ninja outfit.
Like Jean-Claude Van Damme going through the city in the daytime.
Exactly, right?
You know?
if they're going to be in the snow, they're going to wear the white ninja outfit, whatever. Like, it's not, but the idea that there's like a uniform and there's a set group of techniques and this is called ninjutsu, I don't really believe in something like that, right? Even nowadays, like when I was a kid, watching the Masaaki Hatsumi stuff, like in the books, right? Okay, he's the main ninja guy. Now you got YouTube, and I've actually watched those videos, and I see what's kind of taught as ninjutsu, and I go like, no. It seems kind of whack, like what those guys are doing, right? Yeah, it's just a little like play acting, right? It's like kind of what it feels like, right? So like, I don't know. Maybe we got to get a real ninja expert on here to talk about it. But yeah, the problem is how are you going to find a real ninja expert, right? Because they're not going to tell you they're a ninja expert.
it's too stealth.
I wanted to tell before we get out of here 2 ninja stories that are near and dear to my heart. All right? These are Kung Fu Genius ninja stories.
One of them is my favorite.
Yeah, so as we talked about earlier, Ninja 3 The Domination.
Yes.
There's a move in Ninja 3 The Domination that is so amazing. I wanted to be able to do it. At the very beginning, when he's just wreaking all sorts of havoc on that golf course, he ends up getting onto a moving helicopter, flying helicopter. All right? While he's on the helicopter, he's on the side, he's being all stealth. He's a ninja after all.
I think I know where you're going, yep.
He takes one of his shuriken and he puts it in the slit of his Tabi boot. And he does a roundhouse kick around the corner and right into the eye of the head of the pilot or whatever, right?
Right.
How cool is that? I mean, only canon films would come up with stuff like that, right? But by the way, you know that they even tried to make a Chuck Norris ninja movie. It's called The Octagon. And it had, I think, Richard Norton in there as well. And Tadashi Yamashita as well. Yeah, but it wasn't, it was very...
When did they do this?
That was also in the 80s. It just wasn't great.
Probably late.
No, it was early 80s.
Early.
Yeah, everyone was trying to jump onto the ninja thing. And it's just like, for me, only Shoka Tsugi got it right.
The Octagon?
It's called The Octagon, yeah.
What?
Yeah. So anyway, I saw this Ninja 3 The Domination roundhouse kick shuriken in the Tabi boot thing. And I was like, I got to do this. So I go out into the backyard. All right, my famous backyard of experiments. I have the lab, right? Yeah. I have the full ninja garb on. I pick the same style ninja shuriken that they use in there, which I think is called a moon shuriken.
Okay. I
put that in my Tabi boot. You know, I was practicing Taekwondo. I got good roundhouse kicks.
Yeah.
I go, all right, I'm gonna try to. I put it in there, do the roundhouse kick, and kick the shuriken to the tree. All right.
Yeah, the target on the tree.
No, I just was happy to hit it. I didn't care about it. I was like, it was a wide tree. I was like, I just want to see it. For me, if I could kick it and get the thing to land in the tree, I'd be like, I'd be amazing, right?
Okay.
I put it in there. I throw the first kick, and the shuriken doesn't come out of my shoe.
Oh, you
out of the boot
tight.
Yeah, because I was like clenching my toe, right? It's like, oh man.
Oh no, I gotta
relax it a little bit, right? Second time I try it. I go do the roundhouse kick, and my toe was a little too relaxed. The shuriken comes out and comes towards me.
Oh.
And hits me right on the chest. But luckily, it hit me sideways on the flat bit.
Nice.
And I remember I did that. I was like, because that so could have easily been in my eye. That could have been in my face, whatever. Yeah, I could have ended up with the eye patch just like Shoka Tsugi in Ninja 3, right? And I was like, and I just remember like I had this huge adrenaline dump, and I'm like, I will never do that again, right? And then of course now when I watch that scene in that movie, it's like he didn't even really do it. He puts it in there, he throws the kick, cuts. The next scene, the guy's got it in his eye. It's like they didn't even really do it there. He were so just like me explaining how to break the spear and the chopstick on your throat. Don't try that shit at home, peeps.
Please
all right?
don't.
It always goes wrong, okay? And then so I have one more ninja story. I actually told this on the Dudes of Kung Fu podcast.
Told this on the Dudes.
Told this once, yeah. We had kind of a ninja episode, unplanned ninja episode once. So, again, I've always been a geek. I've always been into this stuff. Always reading martial art magazines.
You don't say.
Yeah. And even, as a kid, I read about styles that I didn't do. Like it didn't matter to me. I would read martial art magazines from cover to cover. So if there was karate article, ninja article, Choi Lei Fut, Hong Kun, it didn't matter if I didn't even know what it was. I just read it cover to cover. All right, so I read like the who's who of ninjutsu and stuff like that. And so, you know, when I started high school, my family relocated to the Pacific Northwest, to Seattle. So grew up in Jersey, but now suddenly I'm in Seattle and hating it, right? Because everyone out there in the West Coast, everyone talks like this, dude. I thought everyone was like messing with me, right? Because I didn't realize like people really talk like that. I thought that was like really only people from movies, dude. Yeah, I thought they were messing with me, right?
Let's all talk the same way to this guy.
Yeah, because I'm like, because I thought, first of all, only people in California talk that way. Only to find out most people live in the Pacific Northwest moved up from California. and it was like, oh, dude,
That's a weird move right there, yeah.
And of course, at that time, I had like a super thick Jersey accent, right? I didn't know that I had an accent until I moved out there because I talked just like all my other friends, right? And I go out there and they're like, yo, dude, you sound like one of those mafia guys, man. Yo, that's like crazy, dude. And I'm like, dude, they called soda, they call it pop out there. Pop. Who calls it pop?
Freaky.
What is it, in the 1930s?
Shit.
Yeah, when I was a boy, we used to drink pop. They call it pop out there. It's the 1930s.
They hold it on sight to that pop.
It's the 1930s. Get out of here. It was super weird, right?
Oh, wow.
So anyway, making friends was easy for me because I stuck out there. It was like, oh, yeah, that's Alex. Yo, Alex, he's that mafia guy from New York. I'm like, actually, I'm from Jersey. Like, whatever. It's the same thing, right? So I had a buddy of mine. He invited me freshman year of high school. We had like a sleepover, right? And I remember going over to his place, and we watched the movie Colors. It's like, welcome to the West Coast.
Colors.
Yeah, they got to watch all this West Coast stuff, right? Man. And there was like a dude who lived around the block who had a car, so he must have been at least 16.
Yeah.
And he would drive over and come over and hang out with us. And first of all, when you get a little bit older, you go, why is the dude with the car hanging out with the younger kids who don't have cars? Once you get a car, you go and you try to hang out with older kids, cool kids. Yeah. If you're into girls or guys or whatever, you try to hang out with whoever you're into, right? Why is this guy with a license hanging out with like these younger kids? Because we're the demographic that he can impress. He can't impress people his grade because he's, as Bruce Lee would say, a bullshit artist. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, he comes by and
What kind
he's
of car
like,
did he have?
he had some kind of 70s model wannabe hot rod car, right?
Okay.
He comes over, he's like, my friend's like, oh, Alex does Taekwondo, he's a black belt. He's like, oh yeah, I do ninjutsu. Right? He says it like that, right? And then he's like, he's a bigger kid, obviously, right? And he's trying to like be all super intimidating, right? Meanwhile, I'm such a nerd. I'm like, oh wow, you do ninjutsu? Wow, that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Taking him at face value. He's like, yeah, in ninjutsu, every time you level up one rank, you don't just get a different belt. You get a uniform in the color of the rank. So you start off with a white uniform with a white belt, and then until you get the black one, and with the black belt, right? And I remember hearing this as a kid going like, already knew that was bullshit. Because first of all, the ninja outfit you wear depends on what your mission is, bro.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
But then, I was so like, oh, you do ninjutsu, so you must be under like Masaaki Hatsumi or Stephen K. Hayes.
Yeah.
I knew these names because I read the magazines, even though I didn't practice it. And he was like, yeah. And then he kept trying to talk, and it was like,
I tried to brush it off with some more.
I mean, but there might be other ninja lineages out there. But it's kind of like if someone says like, yeah, I do Wing Chun, like, oh, like with like Yip Man and stuff. Yeah, Yip Man, right?
Yeah.
And you know,
Yip Man,
right? And the guy kind of brushes it off, and you go like, I don't think you actually
don't know who Yip Man is.
I don't think you know who Yip Man is, right? It's like yeah. And then he's like, yeah, we get the different uniforms and stuff like this, right? And he goes like, we have all the weapons and all the kicks and stuff like that. And he goes like, and different ninjas specialize in different things, And
sounds logical.
My specialty is kicking.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember thinking like, wait a minute, ninjas are supposed to be assassins.
Yeah.
Being specialized in kicking, that's a pretty shitty way to kill someone, right?
Yeah.
That's a long, laborious way to kick someone.
Because you're already good
I'm a
at
ninja.
Kicks. Yeah.
I can't use a sword. Right. I can't use shuriken, but I can murder people by kicking them to death. Sure, it takes a little longer than normal, but I can eventually murder them with enough kicks.
It's
right?
your specialty.
It's not a very stealthy way either.
Not a very stealthy way.
Kicking it. Ow!
Yeah, he kicked the guy. Ow! Shut up! Ow, that really hurt. Shut up!
Stand still.
Right? Yeah, stand still. Don't make any sound, right? So he goes, yeah, I'm going to show you. He's going to show his kicky skill, right? And then we were out in the front yard. I remember that. There was a tree. And there was like a branch, like a low branch there with a leaf. And it was like about his head height, and he was a little taller than me. He's like, I'm going to kick that.
Got leaf.
Meanwhile, homeboy's wearing like some jeans. All right? He stands there.
Sense.
He gets into his stance. He goes to do a roundhouse kick. All right? I can see, first of all, I had a black belt in Taekwondo. I know about kicks. And I know what it looks like when someone who cannot really kick high tries to kick high. Because you have all these compensations in your body and your shoulder when you're trying to kick high, when you don't have that mobility in the gas tank, but you're revving on 8,000 and you're pulling where you don't have anything.
Right.
He goes to kick and like hips not in the right place, knees not in the right place. His supporting leg flies out from under him. And it was like watching something out of a cartoon. He kicks, he goes sideways, airborne, and he lands on his hip. Smack! It just looked like a fail army video, like when you fall off a handrail on a skateboard.
Yeah.
Boom! Smack! Boom! He had mud all up because it was like wet. He had mud all up. He had like those powder blue colored jeans. And he gets up and he's like, oh.
Right.
Yeah, I should have warmed up. And he got in his car and left and peeled out. Like peels out. Super embarrassed.
Super fast.
And I remember just like his friend, my friend who I was staying with, he looked at me and was like, he knew that guy was full of shit. I go up to the same branch, boom, throw up a kicked in. I'm like, wasn't that hard? And then we go back in.
The leaf just
continue watching colors.
You think he would have been able to do it if he'd been wearing those Chuck Norris action jeans?
He needed the Chuck Norris action
jeans.
But he also needed some martial arts training.
Right.
So anyway, that's all I got to say about ninjas. Dude. All right, ninjas, so what do you think? What's your favorite ninja movie, and what constitutes a ninja movie? Do all the main characters have to be ninjas, just the bad guys, or just the good guys? Comment below. What is a ninja movie? Let us know. And I'll see you guys next time.
Word is I'm a kung fu genius. Technique speaks for me, not lineage. Forget Jet Li, cause I'm the one. Many call me seafood, but to you I'm Seagung. And I produce masters. You surpassed us. Your kung fu stiffer than corpse and caskets. City Wing Chun is the house I built. Violate the gate and your blood gets spilt. Alex Richter, always the...
All right, peeps. On today's episode of the Kung Fu Genius, the genius will be going over some ninja shit. Lots of gems and shit. Lots of... Don't be kicking roundhouse kicks with your Tabi boots and here shuriken.
This is going to be a very special episode of the Kung Fu Genius.
Shuriken!
Shawshank Redemption.
Shuriken!
All right, peeps, on today's episode of the Kung Fu Genius, the genius will discuss...
Why you looking?
All things ninja. All right, why you looking? Why you looking? Shurikens and Tabi boots. All right, peeps, on today's episode of the Kung Fu Genius, the genius will be discussing all things Kung Fu Kana, not Kung Fu Ninja.
Did you forget? It's the ninja episode.
All right, peeps, on today's episode of the Kung Fu Genius.
Man, he's coming in hot today.
Yeah,
Wow.
What's going on?
It's in a rush.
I know.
Ninjas are
are
very patient.
intimidating. Oh man, love ninjas. We gotta attack a ninja movie.
We do.
ASAP.
We do. We should do a commentary on Revenge of the Ninja. It's so ridiculous.
I think let's go the first one.
Enter the Ninja's kind of dog shit.
I know.
Especially, I felt bad when the guy
more
says
dog
he's
shit, the better.
The guy
for
says
us.
he's impotent.
Let's
can't please his
attack
wife.
that.
And then what does his buddy do?
Let's
Makes
get him.
moves on his
Let's
wife,
get him.
man.
That's
Come
a
on, what's
whole
up with that?
episode right there. It's just
yeah.
that one
Let's
scene.
get him. Let's get that move.
Crazy.
Let's get him.
So yeah, I think we need more ninja stuff in the future.
Yeah.